What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk about the injury updates between the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat heading into the second play-in game of, I guess, the Eastern Conference play-in tournament. At the end of the day, a massive game for both teams to put themselves in the position to compete at the biggest stage in the NBA, the NBA playoffs. Now, again, I don't think any team or any team's fan base expects much out of the team in the first round, knowing we're versing Milwaukee. They are dominant. They're going to be a team that I think will personally dismantle any team that gets into the NBA playoffs. But for a team that has some pride about them, you want to be in the playoffs. You want to compete in the playoffs. You want to be a team that is going to give more experience in the playoffs. And I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of the video. But yeah, we'll quickly talk about some of the interesting things between the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls in terms of their injury reports. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not you believe you give us a chance to win this game against the Miami Heat. Miami, 7th seed, ending the season, obviously lost to the Atlanta Hawks, has to play in this play-in tournament game. The Bulls beat the Raptors, 19-point comeback in the fourth quarter, put ourselves in a position to compete in the second round of the play-in tournament. Our regular season games has been in the Bulls' favor every single time. That could be a position where we have the advantage, but at the same time, Miami are a team that I don't think is going to take losing in the way that they lost very lightly. So I think that team is going to come in with all guns blazing. So we've got to be prepared and have a few shots of our own ready to go. But let's look at the injury report for the Chicago Bulls. Again, I will mention the long-term injuries that the Bulls have because I understand that some people that might be watching this video are not Bulls fans or Miami Heat fans. So you might not know what's going on around the Chicago Bulls. Maybe you're just getting into the NBA playoffs or the play-in tournament right now, because that's when a lot of casual fans will watch basketball. So let's get started with the Bulls injury. Obviously, Lonzo Ball will be out of this game against Miami. He was out in the last game against Toronto, and he has been out of the Chicago Bulls team for around about a season and a half now. And he's projected to be back late next season, or he could potentially miss the entirety of next season as well. Again, he had another surgery and stuff of that nature. Extremely disappointing news, of course, devastating, but again, not something we're going to take a deeper dive into today. But a very, very, very upsetting turn of events for Lonzo Ball, and that is our starting point guard out of the team, has been out of the team all season. So, again, there's no excuses if we lose to Miami. I don't think anyone should be saying we didn't have Lonzo Ball, because we haven't had Lonzo Ball all season. This is the team that we're dealing with now, and at the end of the day, we're just going to have to deal with that situation. Justin Lewis, a two-way contract player, has been out for the Chicago Bulls for quite a while now. He's had a very interesting story. Tore his ACL, I believe, in the Summer League, if I'm not mistaken, around about that time. In the end, got waived from the Chicago Bulls. He's a two-way contract player. Towards the end of the season, he got brought back as a two-way contract player. And since he is a two-way contract player, even if he was available to play, I don't think he's actually allowed to play in this game against the Miami Heat. But that is the Chicago Bulls injury report. Those are the long-standing injuries that the Bulls have had. Now let's turn to the Miami Heat injury report. Now, I'm getting this from ESPN, and there are a couple of interesting things here that could potentially be, I guess, a bonus for the Chicago Bulls if these things were to happen. But again, let's get started. Let's get started with Jimmy Butler. There were reports that Jimmy Butler did not train, I believe, yesterday due to personal reasons, but he is expected to play against the Chicago Bulls. So that's interesting. And look, Jimmy Butler, in my opinion, is a warrior. I think all Bulls fans can agree with that. He's an amazing player, and the one thing that he truly has is a dedication and will to compete. He wants to win every single game he's a part of. Even if he was listed as questionable or doubtful to play, in my mind, there is no chance Jimmy Butler is missing this game against the Chicago Bulls. Now, whether we win without him whether we win with him out of the lineup or we win with him in the lineup, again, it doesn't mean much to me. I want the Bulls to win the game regardless. But at the end of the day, I think Jimmy Butler is one of those guys that you will have to carry him out of the arena before he's going to give up on the season, in my opinion. And we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But I'm fully expecting Jimmy Butler to play, and I wouldn't think twice about that situation, to be honest. Nikola Jokic has been listed as out of this game against the Bulls. I don't think he plays that much anyway. Again, he was one of those guys that a lot of people were high on in the NBA draft last season. A lot of Bulls fans were desperate to sign him. Definitely a lot of international players or international fans desperate to sign him, saw the potential in him. Yeah, he is listed as out for this game with a back injury. Kyle Lowry was listed as questionable to play for the Chicago Bulls due to left knee soreness. That is an interesting one. Now look, Kyle Lowry is one of those guys that I also believe you're going to have to carry him out of the arena before he ends up not playing. I fully expect Kyle Lowry to play, but questionable is 50-50. A 50% chance he can play, 50% chance he may miss this game. And with Kyle Lowry, if he does miss this game, I think that's a huge benefit towards the Chicago Bulls. You can question Kyle Lowry's whole season all you like. It's been up and down to say the least. A lot of people are not a massive fan of him, but without a shadow of a doubt, he's one of their best players against Atlanta. In my opinion, he's one of the only guys to really show up for that team. So having that veteran experience, that guy that can get to the foul line, that guy that will take charges out of the team, you are losing a veteran leader there in Kyle Lowry. So an interesting one, I would say the least. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening there. But again, I'm not thinking twice. I think Kyle Lowry will play this game. I don't even think it's a question. And then Gabe Vincent didn't practice because of back pain, but he is also expected to play against the Bulls. Again, I expect Gabe Vincent to play. Not too much else to say there in that department. That is the Bulls and the Miami Heat injury reports. A lot of Miami Heat question marks for the Bulls. It looks like things are very much well determined. Our best team for most of the season will be there for the Chicago Bulls. With Miami, there's a bit of question marks there. But again, you're expecting both teams to be very, very healthy coming into this game. Now, some people have been telling me that they would rather, I guess, not even be in the play-in tournament, not even be in the NBA playoffs, and just end the season early. Now, look, I'm not going to be here to change your minds, but I'm going to give you one reason why I feel like it is important to win this game against the Miami Heat, and it's important to be in the NBA playoffs, even if we get smacked up completely. It's important for these players to be in the NBA playoffs, and I'll tell you why. You're banking on Zach Levine to be your star player, right? If you're wishing for Zach Levine to not be in the NBA playoffs this season, you are limiting his playoff experience. He's only had one season in the NBA playoffs, and he had that season with a knee injury. He had COVID towards the end of the series, and he missed the final part of that. He's not had much game time in the NBA playoffs. He's not had that much experience. For a guy like Zach Levine, now you're banking to be the future of this team. If you're a Bulls fan, Bulls management, whatever, you want Zach Levine in the NBA playoffs. You want him to gain more playoff experiences. If you look at some of the teams in the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference that have been, or you expect to be, championship teams, a lot of them had to start from the ground up. Guys like Giannis had a lot of failures in the NBA playoffs before he got to a championship. Guys like Joel Embiid, multiple failures in the playoffs before you believe this is the year for him. You look at Stephen Curry and the Warriors. They had years as the 8th seed in the NBA playoffs before they got to the dynasty that they got to. Now, I'm not saying Zach Levine's going to be any of those things, but if you want us to get anywhere in the NBA playoffs, in my opinion, you're going to have to suffer some of those years failing miserably to get to the places you want to be. Zach Levine, if he is our go-to guy, if he's one of the guys we're going to see on this team for multiple years to come, no matter what the team looks like in the future, Zach Levine needs that experience. Simple as that. But again, younger guys, Patrick Williams, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, these guys need playoff experience more than anything in the world. A young guy to experience the NBA playoffs at a young age, when they grow up and they develop into the players that we know they can be. Kobe White's already doing it. These guys need that playoff experiences to know the difference between regular season and the playoffs, and also to know their expectations of what they can do as a player. Again, I just don't understand that logic of, yeah, let's just go. I understand it in terms of tanking and getting the pick. I understand it from that point of view. But we don't have our own pick. And even if we did tank, very unlikely we would get a top 4 pick regardless. So, look, it is what it is in terms of tanking and stuff like that. But this team, the players in this team, especially the players that you expect to be the future of this team, needs that experience more than anything right now. Those young guys, granted, but Zach Levine as well, our leader. 1 year in the NBA playoffs and then missing it the next year is not good enough for a player like Zach Levine. So I want him to absolutely ball out in this game against Miami. I want him to absolutely ball out in the NBA playoffs. I want him to gain more and more and more experience at the top level. Even for a guy like Devin Booker, for example. Devin Booker was a guy that always was a player that was playing on a bad team. With playoff experience underneath his belt, it seems like every season, no matter what the team looks like, the Suns are now one of the favorites in the Western Conference. They always are in the last couple of years. And playoff experience, I think, plays a massive part in that. You got to give this time of development to players in the NBA playoffs. They have to learn what it's going to be like to play against the best teams and how to handle that pressure. And it's something that I feel like is massively important. So, yeah, that was kind of the answer that I brought to the occasion based on the last question about the Bulls and why the playoffs are so important for us. But again, we can't really dwell on versing Milwaukee yet. We've got to verse the Miami Heat, and it's definitely a game we can lose as well. So look, our season could be over tomorrow. Our season could be extended just for a little while longer. But again, whatever the case may be, that is why it's important, and that's why I feel like we need to bring our absolute best to Miami and see what ends up happening. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.